different levels, I cannot relate. You never win if you playing it safe. It's all a game until you get played.
Welcome back to It's Culture Podcast. My name is Mark, and I'm the host of It's Culture Podcast. And tonight, I got a good one for y'all. I got a real good one for y'all. Man, oh man, oh man. So, we have the Bishop Marvin Sapp, and I'm pretty sure y'all have heard all about that. I'm going to give my analysis on it, and it might interest you a little bit. And then we got a situation out of West Virginia. This is probably one of the most despicable things the foster care system can allow to happen. And we're going to talk about that. And then what happens when you try to create a hate crime and you find out it's completely false? We're going to deal with that, as well as the mysterious death of Young Scooter. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because I think it's important to have that conversation. and yeah, let's talk about it. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about all that tonight. But at first, if you could do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you can get all the updates. And as I say on all my shows, I just want to say thank you to the bottom of my heart. You all don't know what it's like to do these shows and to have people rock with you every single week, tuning in, listening to me. I really appreciate it. Helps me keep growing, helps this channel keep growing. And you all are doing y'all part by rocking with me every week, so I appreciate that. But before we get into all that, I just want to make sure that the audio is good, that the video is good. The stream is doing what it's supposed to be doing. I just want to check the levels real quick. Hold on 1 second. Some of y'all always tell me that the audio be sounding like crap. And I read these comments, so I be reading the comments. I be like, dang, man, my audio sound that bad. But let's see what's going on. One second, guys. Yeah, so audio sounds pretty good. Video sounds pretty good. So yeah, let's do this. So, Marvin Sapp. I know y'all have seen the video. I know y'all have seen the highlights, all the social media backlash when it comes to that. And I just want to break it down again. For those who are not too apropos as to why these things happen in these type of churches. This was at a conference. This was at a conference, y'all. And just like every holy convocation, any type of church conference, you know they're going to be doing offering. And we're going to watch the clip real quick. And then we're going to come back to it on the other side because I have my own take on this. So let's take a listen.
And they understand the cost that is involved. There's 1,000 of you. I said close them doors. Ushers, close the doors. Close the doors. Close the doors. We all gonna leave together. Y'all ain't going no place but to the restaurant.
All right, so y'all see, telling the ushers to close the doors. I think this is the part of the video that he really, really caught the backlash for. But we're gonna keep listening though.
There's 1,000 of you tonight, and those that are watching, it's 1,000 that's watching online. This is a small seed. If I get 1,000 online to give this, if I get 1,000 in the sanctuary to give this, that's $40,000 tonight. I'm challenging each of you all down here to give a $20 seed. I actually think $20 is a lot of money. $20, believe it or not, when my late wife, Melinda P. Sapp, was alive, was a good date. I could take her to the movies, buy a box of popcorn, get 1 soda, 2 straws.
So now he's trying to make the correlation between like giving the money and having a date.
I wouldn't cheat. That's swag. I was looking in her eyes. She's looking in mine. Can't do that no more. Now, everyone up here, we've all sold and seeded, but I need everyone standing up here with us, with me, to plant a seed of $100. Because again, it costs to sit up here. I got you. Let's see. So put your 20 away, preachers. That 20 wasn't for you. And this is what I need you to do. If you're giving electronically, or even if you're giving tangibly, I'm gonna have y'all come to the altar and give it, because I need to see 1,000 people moving. Bring them baskets. I want the baskets up here. I want to see the folk. Y'all start moving. Y'all can bring it right now. Come. Even if you're giving tangibly, just put your hand on take your phone and stick it on the bucket. Shh. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. Giving is worship. This ain't the time to talk. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people need to give $20. 1,000 people online need to give $20. This is easy, saints. This is an easy miracle. We should be able to raise $40,000 tonight just from y'all giving.
Okay, so now y'all see what he did. That caused a lot of backlash. And it caused a lot of backlash for one particular reason and one particular reason only. And that reason is that people are tired of the grift from these churches. That's what this boils down to. People are tired of the grift of churches. There are a lot of people who are moving to becoming agnostic, meaning that they don't subscribe to a religion, but they're spiritual people. The black church itself is on a steady decline. The baby boomers were pretty much primarily the churchgoers, and they are dying off. Now, Gen Xers, the older Gen Xers who still go to church, still, but you start looking at millennials and these Gen Zers, they're not going to church. They don't subscribe to this, the religious ideologies like that. They believe in, spirituality and things like that, but they're not going to church. And this is the main reason why. Because they see things like this and they say, what is this? So you telling the ushers to lock the doors, and then you telling us that we got to pay before we can leave. It sounds like extortion. But this has been going on in the black church forever. It's been going on forever. I remember a time where I went to a event in Hampton, Virginia, and Dorinda Clark Cole was the headliner. And she did her thing, and she sang and brought the house down. And then she went into the event, doing her evangelism, and $10,000 had to be raised, and she did the same thing. People are hip to that now, and what I think happened, like most of these events, they take place, these convocations, they bring these pastors and bishops and prelates and overseers. They bring them from all over the world, all over the country. And these conferences, they got to pay for that. They got to pay to have somebody come up there and be on stage and preach. They got to pay, Marvin Sapp alluded to it. He said it costs to sit up there. Now, early in the video that I didn't play is when he talked about how he had to pay $2,000 to get his license and his ordination back. Excuse me about that. So he said it cost to pay. It's a cost to pay with being a pastor. Now, I grew up in a church where pastors had other jobs. They just weren't just pastors. I come from that Kojic world, that Baptist church, holiness. We kind of crossed over different denominations, but everybody, you kind of came from that. But these people had other jobs. They just weren't full-time pastors. And then with the rise of the mega churches and the televangelists, most of them, this is what they do. And what he was alluding to was, hey, there's some bills to be paid. Now, quite possibly, what could have happened, like most church events, after the registration, and they see those numbers, we shout. We short. We ain't got it. We short. And they got promises out there that they're going to pay people to come do these things, and now they're short. And I believe that's what happened in this case. I believe that they were about 40 bands short, and they needed Marvin Sapp to get up there and try to get the cheer for givers to give a little more, and so they can raise that $40,000. The problem with this is that in the age of social media, in the age of transparency, in the age of, like I said, the decline of the black church, this doesn't work no more. This actually turns people off because they think that you're trying to hustle them. Especially, like I said at the beginning, I really believe that it was the part where he said lock the doors. People took that offense like, so what? If I was at this event, you talking about lock the doors? Really? You gonna tell the ushers to lock the doors until I give you a $20? Sounds like extortion. Yes, it does. And maybe it was out of context. But the backlash was so much so that the church actually issued a statement in regards to it. They issued a statement because social media had went up in such an uproar about this because people were like, this is a shakedown and this is why people don't come to church. Prosperity preaching is dying because people are not listening to this no more. God loves a cheerful giver, all that stuff. And, they're not listening to that no more. Times are hard. Y'all ain't see the cost of eggs? We can't give no more until we already gave. But like I said, I believe that there was a shortage and they needed to get 40 bands up real quick so they can cover the losses. If not, somebody wasn't getting paid. Can't do this no more. Not in this era. This worked in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. This ain't working in the 2020s. Social media will have you out here looking bad real quick. And it may have been that, Bishop Sapp was was doing what he normally would do at these events. It just so happened that this one, somebody screen grabbed it and recorded it and put it out there. And it looks so bad right now. Whereas, perhaps, maybe, just maybe, you could have asked the congregation in a different way. Perhaps told them that you all were short, that some expenses, y'all incurred some expenses and y'all needed some assistance. Who knows? You might have got all the money right then and there. But all the, this is worship and all that ain't working no more. It ain't working no more. And Marvin Sapp, my frat brother. And we talked about, and Kappas were talking about this in a group. I was in a group chat with some people that were talking about this. They ain't too happy with it. It's a bad look. It's a bad look. Bad look, especially when there are a lot of churches that are in communities and they're not giving back to the communities that they're in. All you're doing is taking. And they see you as the wealth extractor, and you're not trying to create opportunities. That is the problem with the black church. People are tired of seeing these churches, seeing these pastors riding around and rows riding around and rows. Their current financial situation, all this praying and stuff that they've done, listening to your prosperity preaching, is not giving them any type of relief, and they're tired. So, got to read the room now. It's a different ball game. You can't do this no more. Transparency is key. And if, the church wants to survive, it's going to have to find a different way to get the message out that doesn't come off as extortion. So, y'all just, what do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Moving on to my next topic. This one here, I heard about this story a couple of months ago when it first broke, and I should have did a video on it, but I didn't. This story comes out of West Virginia. This is probably one of the sickest things that I've heard in a long time. And I've heard some disgusting type of things from people in our society that they're doing. Just disgusting. But this one here, oh my God. Like, how do you even get to this point? And what I'm talking about, slavery is still alive and well. At least it was in Virginia for a couple who decided that they were going to adopt some black kids and treat them like slaves. I want to take y'all to West Virginia so y'all can hear this, and then we're going to talk about this as this video plays along, because I want y'all to understand that these people did not, even after they were caught red-handed, treating black kids like slaves that they had got out of the foster care system, they ultimately decided that they were not going to take any type of accountability, and still to this day don't believe they did anything wrong. Let's take a listen.
Both of you refused to accept responsibility throughout the trial and still here today, which makes my job a lot easier. And instead of apologizing today, because you never have said you're sorry, but what you did do was put on one of the most reprehensible, narcissistic defenses that I have ever seen in my years of trial work. And may God have mercy on your souls, because this court will not.
Now, you hear the judge. The judge is pissed. You heard her say that they still ain't take accountability for this. Let's keep going.
Please stand.
Blistering words from Judge Mary Claire Akers as Jeannie Whitefeather and Donald Lance were sentenced to decades in prison today, answering to their historic convictions last month of human trafficking and forced labor.
Now, this was a case that stemmed from the October 2023 discovery of two teens locked in a shed in Sissonville and revealed years of abuse and neglect of 4 of their adopted black children. Whitefeather was sentenced to a maximum of 215 years for human trafficking trafficking, forced child labor, civil rights violations, and child abuse and neglect. Her husband, Lance, was sentenced to 160 years max for similar charges. He was found not guilty on the civil rights violations and had fewer child abuse charges than Whitefeather. This was the first time in state history that human trafficking charges were ever brought on the state level.
The first time that human trafficking and child labor charges had ever been brought up in any case in the state of West Virginia. When y'all hear what y'all about to hear, trigger warning, trigger warning, trigger warning. I just want y'all to understand what y'all about to hear about what they did to these kids. Let's go.
Prosecutors were able to prove to a jury that Whitefeather and Lance brought 5 adopted black children to Sissonville in May of 2023 from Washington State, made them do manual labor, and neglected and abused them with physical punishment and a lack of basic necessities. This all while receiving adoption payments from the state of Minnesota. Whitefeather and Lance have also been ordered to pay $280,000 each in restitution to the children.
They brought these kids from Washington State all the way to West Virginia. Foster kids. Getting money from the state of Washington. Getting money from the state to foster these kids. And they treated these kids like they were nothing. Like they owned them, like they were property. Like chattel. This sounds like 1800 stuff. No, this is 2025, people. This couple, the wife over 200 years, the husband over 100 years. They'll never, ever see the light of day again. They'll never see each other again. This is disgusting. They deprive these kids of hygiene, food. They lock them in a shed. They force them to stand with their hands over their heads for long extended periods of time, found bruises and scars, like they would be getting whipped. Like, who does this? This couple decided that they wanted to be slave master and the missus. And the reason why the woman, she got more charges is because she got a couple of more civil rights violations than the husband did. Who's checking on these kids in the foster system? Do they not have a caseworker? Were they not so they like a lot of parts of this story when it was coming out, like they weren't even living in the state of Washington no more. So I don't even know how they were getting benefits from the state of Washington. Like do they not periodically check to make sure? Do they not have to verify the information? You know, make sure it's accurate, updated. Is that not a case? That the system would allow kids to be treated like this and suffer like this for years and years and years and years, to the point where the oldest, in a letter to the court, she said, I hope that she wanted the judge to have them stand like she used to have them stand. Like they used to, like this couple. She wanted that to be, this child wanted that to be one of the punishments. They should feel how it feels to just stand up and just have your arms over your head like this and just stand for periods of time and you can't let it go. They got videos showing them doing this in a bar to these kids. And after all of that, after all of the testimony, the videos, the evidence, the clear case of abuse, neglect, and trauma that has been inflicted upon these children, these two bastards still decided that they were not going to take any accountability for anything and that they were at no fault at all. I hope they rot in prison. This is despicable. That we got people still out here that believe that they can get away with this. This is the problem with the foster care system. This is the problem. Anybody can foster a child. The system failed these kids Too often do we see kids in the foster care system, their foster parents are abusing them. Just all they're doing is just enough to get a check. And once the kid is 18 years old, guess what they do? They age them out of the system. They don't get paid. They kick them out. Yon. And they left to go out here and face trauma and all this stuff all over again. And it's sickening because we got people out here that take advantage of this system. They'll foster these kids and don't do nothing for them. Treat them as if they're the lowest of the lows. And that's exactly what this couple did. And you see what they did. They adopted some black kids to do it. I know a lot of people who advocate to stop interracial foster care. Now, I know that there's stories like Kenny Bednarek, the Olympian. I know there's other stories out there where there's great fostering. But we also see stories like Michael Orr, when he get taken advantage of. And now we have this story. And there's plenty others. The foster care system in this country needs to be revitalized. It needs to be revamped completely because it is horrific. Because the caseworkers should at least been checking on these kids. And as soon as they found out that these kids were no longer in the state, there should have been an APB put out. You should not be able to take kids out of the state without Child Protective Services knowing, because they still are a ward of the state. The state of Washington failed these children. Failed them bad. So, like I said, I hope they rot in hell and rot in prison, because this is despicable. What's up next? This story out of Allentown, Pennsylvania. When I first heard it, I was like, really, guys? A noose was found? And, you got to give benefit of the doubt, let the story go out. And before I'm not one of those content creators that's going to react as soon as I hear something. So my videos will probably always be a little late when it comes to how I assess stuff, because I don't believe most of the stuff I read online. I have to do a lot of research before I pick these topics. So some of these topics, it'd be 2 or 3 days it has already happened before I cover them. And that's the reason why, because I want to make sure before I cover something that I'm not just doing it on impulse, that I got the correct story, the information is put out so that it's true and accurate. And then I don't have to come back and do some retraction, or I retract a statement or do a retraction video and say, hey, everything I thought was wrong. But in this case, I wanted to wait till the story came out, because I had heard that a noose was found in a county school board office in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And everybody was outraged. But it seems like what happened is not what happened. What happened is not what happened. And we're going to talk about it. Let's take a listen.
It was all a lie. That is according to police. An Allentown city worker claimed that she found a rope tied like a noose on her desk at work. It sparked an FBI investigation as people wondered if this was a hate crime. Now investigators say the worker staged the whole thing. Police say it took intricate DNA testing to solve this case in their minds.
Town police detailed exactly how they determined that this reported crime wasn't a crime after all. Charges were just announced. Good afternoon, Dan.
A shocking turn in this case that brought protests and demand for change to Allentown. Police now saying they believe the woman that found that noose actually put it on her own desk. This item, resembling a noose, sparked outrage in Allentown when it was reportedly found on a city worker's desk in January. On Monday, police say they believe the person who found it put it there.
So the police are saying that the person who reported this put the noose there and took this picture.
LaTarsha Brown was charged with tampering with or fabricating physical evidence, a misdemeanor of the 2nd degree, and false reports to law enforcement.
LaTarsha Brown, a worker in the city's Department of Community and Economic Development, reported finding the noose on January 10th. Allentown police say they reviewed surveillance video and access records, interviewed other city employees, and asked for their DNA.
Every employee agreed, except for Ms. Brown.
Police also say Brown was initially cooperative with the investigation, but later asked it be discontinued.
She wanted it discontinued. As soon as they start asking to collect DNA samples, she wanted it to be discontinued. I wonder why.
Late January, police say they obtained a warrant for Brown's DNA and submitted it to a state police lab for testing. 2 weeks ago, those results came back.
Ms. Brown's DNA matched a DNA profile obtained from the swabs of both the outer surface and inner knotted portion of the noose after it was taken apart.
As for the why, police aren't saying.
At this point, we're not going to discuss that.
The incident led to protests and demand for change at City Hall. Josie Lopez, a friend of Brown's who helped organize the rally, claims Brown has faced discrimination and retaliation in the past and is adamant she's innocent. In a statement, she said in part, quote, "This is not just an attack on LaTarsha. This is a warning to anyone in Allentown who dares stand up against injustice. This is a smear campaign. This is retaliation." But Mayor Matt Turk believes the incident has helped bring the conversation over inclusion to the forefront at City Hall.
That has helped lead conversations in City Hall about what it means to be inclusive, about what it means to respect each other's employment, and that will continue.
Okay, let's get this straight. This woman decided that she was going to allegedly plant a noose in her, in City Hall to spark an outrage. This happened back in January. The police did a thorough investigation. DNA analysis of the noose finds out that it belongs to this woman. The woman who allegedly found a noose. They found after she refused to want to cooperate, she wanted to dead the investigation. And then here you have her friend now, who comes out and makes a statement and says that this woman has been facing discrimination in the workplace for a long time. And I'm just going to say this. Give it up. Give it up. Your friend lied. That's what happened. And she got you out here looking silly and stupid. And you still, this is one thing in the activist space is that when it's accountability that has to be had, people like to stand on their square and they're going to go down with the ship, no matter if they right, wrong, or indifferent. They going down with the ship. In this situation here, this situation lets you know that Allentown wasn't playing around. They did a thorough investigation. They collected samples from everybody at City Hall. Everybody wanted to, yes. Of course you could take my DNA. I know I ain't put that noose there. Sure. The one person that it happened to who actually found it said no. You staged this protest all out in front of City Hall. You got the mayor trying to scramble to come up with answers for DE&I and stuff that he probably don't even want to be answering right now. Don't even want to be answering these problems. And you out here got the whole city looking crazy. And to do it for what reason? What was the gain by doing this? What, to make black people just look crazy and race bait? It's bad enough. We got people out here that really have issues at work, who really be dealing with things in the workplace, who really are being discriminated against, who can't get their stories heard because we got idiots like this that go out here and do stuff just to stoke fear and hate. Like, how are you sitting at home and you just wake up one day and say, you know what, I'm just going to go take this noose and put it on the desk and I'm going to take a picture of it. And I'm going to put it out there and say, somebody put this on my desk. Like, why would you wake up and do that? Why would you wake up and even do that? For real. It makes zero sense to me that she did this. And I'll be curious to see what happens with this case. I really will be. I mean, pretty much it's probably a misdemeanor. But this is just crazy. And we already know it's gonna when the truth comes out, and eventually it's either she had some mental health episode or something. They're gonna make up something. But I'm just gonna be curious to see if this activist who was out there in front of City Hall, if she's gonna continue this path, or is she just gonna be like, you know what, I got duped. It happens all the time. A lot of people got duped by Black Lives Matter. Well, not the activist part. Those folks who decided they want to start an organization called Black Lives Matter. They duped a lot of people. Left the activists in a bad situation. Bad situation. Really, really bad. So, like I said, I'll let y'all know when I find out about this. As it goes along, this story. Because I'll be curious to give y'all an update on what happened in this case. And then for my final one tonight. Last week, I was talking about rappers dying and getting shot and murder for hires and checking in and all that stuff in the hip hop world. And this week, this situation with Young Scooter, when I first heard it, you know how the interwebs do it. It came out, rest in peace, but we didn't have all the information. Didn't have it at all. And I'm learning through content creation to have that patience to let the initial report come out so you can kind of understand what's going on. But the initial report was that the cops in Atlanta had shot Young Scooter. That was the initial report. That's the very first headline I saw online. I was like, damn. They didn't shot the man? I'm like, wait, what was he doing? And then it's later, as the story starts to progress, you're like, nah, Atlanta police didn't shoot him. You're like, well, who shot him? Because clearly they said he got shot, right? And it's like, nah, that ain't it either. This story was weird, but now we seem to have an idea as to what happened. And let's take a listen to what the news is saying actually happened in this case.
Atlanta rapper Young Scooter has died after an encounter with police that took a bizarre and shocking turn.
There really was a lot of confusion, especially on social media posts. Now, late last night, Atlanta police took some time to iron some things out. Atlanta rapper Kenneth Bailey, known as Young Scooter, is dead after a police encounter that led to a freak accident. It all started at this home on William Nye Drive in southeast Atlanta.
Officers responded to a dispute with a weapon. It was advised in the call remarks that shots were fired and a female was dragged back into the location.
Officers say a man opened and immediately shut the door. They say that's when two men darted out of the back door.
One male returned back into the house. The other male jumped 2 fences as he was fleeing.
Police say that was Bailey.
I'm not sure how he injured himself, but he's bleeding bad.
This appears that there was, when he fell, some type of fracture injury to the leg, which caused the bleeding.
Lieutenant Andrew Smith says he wants it clear that at no point did officers shoot or use any weapon. Bailey was known in the Atlanta rap world and was even featured on tracks alongside Future and Gucci Mane. He was 39 years old.
Just a freak accident. Just a freak accident. So it was the police came to the house for a domestic complaint. Somehow or another they get to running. One dude comes back in the house. Young Scooter does not. He jumps the fence. Something happens with his leg. He bleeds out and dies on his way to the hospital. Just a freak way to go out, man. And like when you hear that story, it don't really make sense because it's like, okay, the cops show up. I get that part. What was going on inside the house to make them start running? Because I know me, if the cops just showed up at my house and I haven't done anything, and clearly they're just showing up, I'm going to go to the front door and see what the hell is going on. Now, unless there was something illegally going on. I have no way of knowing. I'm not alleging anything was going on. I hadn't heard anything about this young Scooter at all doing anything. But this is it's just very, very, I don't even have a word to describe this one. Because it was a domestic complaint that got the police there. And then he just broke out running, jumped a couple of fences. Maybe he thought he had a maybe he may have thought he had a warrant. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe he has some some drugs or something. I have no idea. Maybe he had a possession of a firearm or wasn't supposed to have one. I have no idea what was going on. Prior to the cops knocking on the door and them taking off running. Now, I'll be curious, like, everybody else to see what the body cam footage shows, but it don't really seem like there was a reason to run. Like I said, I don't know. Wasn't in the house. Don't know the particulars, but it just didn't seem like it was a reason to run. And then he runs, jumps the fence, and breaks his ankle. Listen. You shatter a bone, man, or something, and you bleed out. That's gotta be detrimental. I mean, he must have he must have snapped it completely or something. Like he needed a tourniquet or something. He was about to lose his leg, but to bleed out like that, in that mind, you jumping fences, you trying to get over a fence, and you then took a tone and didn't come down right on your leg or something. Like, it ain't, scaling fences ain't for the weak. You see them people jump fences on all these videos, and everybody think they can do it. You may have scaled fences as a kid. You ain't doing it at 39, 40 years old. I'm 46. There ain't no way in hell I'm running, trying to jump over a doggone fence. Are you serious? Are you serious? I got 2 bad knees, a bad back, everything. 20 years in the military, body's completely hurting. You really think I'm about to be scaling the fence? Man, come on, man. This is sad because we still don't know all the ins and outs. I'm pretty sure as this story progresses, if there is one, what is there left for the cops to say? They came out, they were adamant. Hey, we ain't shoot him. We just want to let y'all know, city, calm down. We ain't shoot him. There was not one shot fired. This man died because he jumped the fence and broke his leg and bled out. Just a sad state of affairs. Sad state of affairs. So, condolences to his family. I know that's not the news, what type of news you want to hear, especially because he died on his 39th birthday. That man's birthday and death date are the same day. That don't often happen. Oh my goodness. But this one here is so bad. 39 years young, man. I didn't really listen to a lot of his music. I heard some of his songs. Some of them are okay. Just typical ATL trap music. But to lose your life on the day that you were born, and to lose it in this manner, when it looks like it was self-inflicted, just a bad way to go out. So maybe we'll get more from the city of Atlanta to this story. Maybe it might be open and closed and shut. But if there is anything that comes out of it, I will keep y'all abreast and let y'all know. But that's it for tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I'm getting better at these live shows, y'all. I really am. I'm trying to get better at these live shows. I'm trying to incorporate some new technology, cameras, audio, just trying to bring good content. So y'all let me know what y'all think about this stream in the chat, in the comment section. We're almost at, we crossed over 13,000. We're heading to 13,200. I appreciate, like I said, each and every last one of you for continue to rock with me like this. And I'll continue to bring y'all content in the news and everything that's going on, the trending topics. Until next time, Culture Nation, the next live show, Thursday night at 8 p.m., the next live show. And as I always do throughout the week, short clips for those of you all who can't sit through an hour long, for a 45-minute long show, I will chop the videos up and give you the individual segments as well. So thank you all for tuning in. Culture Nation, let's keep it culture.